Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for another video. It is your host Crypto Glenn. Big news coming out of the traditional finance sector. A coalition of banks led by UBS, a London-based bank, have announced that they are coming out with what is being called an XRP Killer for crypto settlements. Banking giants in the US, Japan, and even across Europe have created a consortium that will use the cryptocurrency technology in a cross-border transfer. This is huge. The move is also presents a direct competitor for XRP. I know a lot of folks who are fans of Ripple's token XRP were just kind of celebrating a little bit here as XRP has finally, woken up a bit. You can see here that XRP had finally broke out of, we were down here 36, 35 cents. And, as of, I'd say maybe a week and a half ago, XRP kindly started hovering about the 40-cent range. Even at one point in time, making it up to what looks to be about like 47 cents. So, we were finally getting some traction. As it stands now, this news hasn't had any negative effect on price action, but this is kind of a sobering punch for a lot of people in crypto, a lot of people who were fans of the XRP token, because for a long time, we had YouTubers, and it's no secret, I've called these guys out before, people like Digital Asset Investor, Alex Cobb, CKJ, and Sam I Am to the Lifeboats. And these people, they were making very lofty claims that XRP was going to be used by the IMF. This was going to be the way that so many people got rich, and, they were going to get border remittance payments funded via dark liquidity pools. And for anyone that doesn't know what a dark liquidity pool, basically it's a source of capital. The banks don't go directly to the people who are holding XRP. The dark liquidity pools are made up of people who hold XRP, and it's a mixture between that and exchanges and, price action on a daily basis. But basically saying that banks would use dark liquidity pools to finance cross-border remittance payments using an XRP token. And the thing that really never sat well with me was, even though that sounds great and even it sounds a little cryptic, how could people ever think that banks would essentially go to pools that were made up of common folk who had invested in XRP and who had been holding for a long time, big bags, small bags, all bags alike, to basically ask them to sell XRP positions to help fund border remittance payments? To me, that says that's like the bank transferring wealth back to the people after they initially stole it from people. To me, that was never going to happen. And when I would constantly ask people who were huge fans of XRP, how exactly does holding XRP make people money? What's the use case? Because all these banks that were in bed with Ripple, they weren't using XRP, they were using XRapid. So how that translated into actual people who hold XRP making money, and according to some folks making vast quantities of money, was a blank to me, and no one could explain it. And no one can explain it. So the purpose of this video is just to kind of, keep you guys updated what's going on in the crypto space. And again, this blow coming directly out of the traditional finance sector. But more importantly, it's to ask anyone who is a XRP fan, part of the XRP army, the XRP community, how exactly do you think holding XRP is going to make you money? The financial institutions that are in bed with Ripple currently, they're not using XRP, they're using XRapid. More importantly, now you've got a coalition of banks being led by UBS who already have relationships in the financial world, who already know the business model, and now who possess the technology to do exactly what Ripple was going to do, potentially including one more step to keep themselves in the middle. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think in that regard, that respect, that makes sense to you and I. Like, yeah, the banks are just the middlemen. It's better if they're not in the middle. But at the same time, this whole entire model doesn't necessarily work without them being in the middle. And now they found out a way how to seemingly permanently put themselves in the middle, keep themselves in the middle. And it doesn't look like, anybody's going to be able to do anything about that. And if you don't understand what this means, basically look at it this way. Let's say you're a bank, and let's say the traditional ways of transferring money from country to country, they're getting too slow, but no one has posed a direct challenge to your business model for years. And therefore you haven't seen the necessity to revolutionize it, to make it better, to make it faster. And then an individual across town, through the use of blockchain technology, has figured out how to make the process considerably faster. Now, you and all your other banking friends are getting together and say, okay, well, if we use their technology, our service does in fact become better, but where does that leave us in terms of, money? How much are we having to give up? So as a result, one of the other members who are in your banking community, they said, well, why don't we just do the exact same thing? And now we won't have to use the guy across town. So now you've got the guy across town who's kind of first to market, so to speak. And they deal a lot with the smaller banks because the smaller banks have to go through the bigger banks in order to make their cross-border remittance payments work. But you're a part of the bigger bank, and you figured out a way how to do the exact same thing as the guy across town. And you already have relationships with all the other big banks. You already have relationships with all the smaller banks. Now, knowing what you know, do you think your bank and banks like you are going to go with the guy across town, or are they going to go with the bank that they already know? You're going to go with your friend, or you're going to go with the person who you don't, who just kind of came on the scene not too long ago? You're probably going to go with your friend. That's why this is a huge, 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 huge blow to XRP. And unless there's something that I'm missing, and honestly, I don't see it, I don't think that's the case, I would invite anyone to kind of help fill in the blank as to how, in fact, does XRP make users money? Even prior to this announcement coming out, this was so, anyone who had been paying attention could see that this was going to happen. Brad Garlinghouse, I believe in 2016, could have been during an interview, could have been during a write-up in a magazine, I'm not sure. But he basically said, hey, here's what happens. Here's what we plan to do. Best case scenario, XRP and Ripple, they take over the world. Worst case scenario, banks figure out what we're doing, and they essentially make their own coin, their own platform. And damn it, that's exactly what's happened. Coalition of banks being led by UBS are developing their own program, their own service to be a direct competitor with XRP. Now, this is a big deal again because these guys, they already have the relationships, they know how the business model works, and now they have the technology. They don't have to do any selling. They just create it, run it, make sure everything runs smoothly, and they can implement it, to me, which would seem like it would be seamlessly. Now, I've listened to a lot of people who are talking about this, and no one seems to be concerned about it. And you know what? If I had invested a ton of money in XRP, I wouldn't want to see my position start to diminish in value, and I might try and put out the counter argument to try and offset any negative fallout. In my own personal opinion, I think this is a very big blow to XRP, and I think potentially there could be fallout. Personally, I think there will be fallout. You're welcome to check out this article. Again, big banks announce fiat-pegged XRP killer crypto for settlements. If you've heard about it, if you've read about it, leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. I've heard people say that this is an attack on all cryptos, not just XRP. Personally, I think it's an attack on just XRP. If you haven't taken a moment to like the video, please do so. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so as well. And again, leave a comment in the comment section below. I want to try and start a dialogue about this. get certain details, certain ideas that haven't, that are maybe still a little fuzzy, ironed out, worked out, and maybe we all can come to a consensus and get on the same page. And hopefully this can be somewhat of a place for new people entering the space to figure out what the hell XRP and Ripple is all about, because it is still somewhat very ambiguous. Till next time, guys, I will see you in the next video. Take it easy.